Welcome. My name is Peter Strong and I'm a professional online therapist. I provide online therapist sessions to help you work with anxiety, depression, addictions, or any other emotional issues you may be struggling with. During these online therapy sessions, I teach you mindfulness-based approaches for working with emotions. What does that mean? Well, that means that we learn how to overcome our habitual patterns of reactivity, emotional reactivity or cognitive reactivity. We learn how to break free from these sort of automatic patterns that simply feed our anxiety or depression. This is very important indeed. It's until you start to become conscious of these habits, they will never change. They continue to operate out of consciousness like any other habit. It's only when you start to really illuminate your emotional habits with conscious awareness that they begin to change, that you can begin to re-establish some independence from those habits, and you can re-establish a sense of choice in relationship to those habits. So developing consciousness is the most important thing in mindfulness therapy. It's not about talking about your emotions. That's not going to change that underlying habit. What changes it is when you can develop real conscious awareness, conscious presence with that emotion. When you can be with it without reacting, then change becomes possible. In fact, change becomes inevitable, and the emotion will begin to change itself, or you will be able to help it change itself in that condition of consciousness. So mindfulness basically is simply a form of direct engaged consciousness. That's how I define it in my book, The Path of Mindfulness Meditation. It's learning to be right there with your emotion, but without thinking about it, without reacting in any way, without judging the emotion, without criticizing yourself, without getting lost in patterns of reactive thinking. Any form of reactivity simply has the effect of reinforcing the emotion. Breaking free from those patterns of reactivity will stop feeding that emotion. And if you stop feeding the emotion, then the emotion has to change. You create the right conditions in which it will begin to transform itself. So learning to be conscious, learning to be the observer that sees the observed. In this case, the object that you see is the emotion, the emotional object, the mind object. This is what we focus on changing through conscious awareness, through mindfulness. You train yourself to become that observer instead of becoming the reactive entity of the ego or the little self, as we sometimes call it. Another form of emotional suffering. They are all primarily emotional habits, and habits thrive on the absence of consciousness. They operate out of consciousness. When you bring them into consciousness, then they lose their power entirely. So our thinking habits, our belief habits, and our limitations. Limitations are simply conceptual habits that we place on ourselves. They are not real, they do not exist, they are created by your mind. But they are very real in their effects. when they operate out of consciousness. We become prisoners of our thoughts, our emotions, our beliefs, our concepts. So mindfulness is all about the process of liberation, about becoming free from our prison. And this process of freedom is catalyzed by awakening consciousness, learning to be with our emotions, our thoughts, our memories, our pain, our traumas, our anger, our hatreds, whatever it might be. Learning to be with those mental objects consciously means that we become free from those mental objects. They cannot hurt us as long as we remain conscious. They only control us when we become unconscious. So, this is a little bit about mindfulness therapy, which is what I offered as an online therapist. If you'd like to learn more about mindfulness therapy and the online therapy process, do please contact me through my website, and we can schedule a trial therapy session for you. All you need is Skype and an online payments, and you're ready to start. So please contact me with your questions, and let's schedule a Skype therapy session. Thank you.